Hello, good morning, everyone. So, our topic for today is about the ethical theories. Okay, so we have our learning objectives that at the end of the session, the students must be able to understand relevant ethical theories and explain ethical principles. So, when it comes to ethical theories, there are many variations and combinations, no, when we say ethical theories. So it provide framework for individuals, and of course include na rin natin sa society natin to deliberate and make informed moral choices, and what else, it serve as the basis, no, for ethical reasoning, and magagamit natin yung debate, no, in various fields including the philosophy, ethics, yung law, and social sciences. Okay? So, syempre sa workplace pa din 'to magfo-fall, kailangan natin ng framework, no, para meron tayong susundan sa ating mga workplace when it comes to the rules, the regulations, and so on. So, I have here a question. So I'll be giving you 1 minute to think. So it refers to the principles and the values that guide individuals or groups in determining what is right or wrong, good or bad in various situations. So this is a one word only. Of course, English word ito. Okay, what do you think is the answer? All right, so timer is up. So the answer is what we call morality. Okay? So, what do we mean when we say morality? So, actually, it refers to a set, no, of principles, or it can be rules that guide human behavior, no, in decision making, ayan, and based on what is considered right or wrong with a particular society. Okay, pwedeng sa culture, pwedeng sa community na kinabibilangan niya, and then pwede rin 'to sa belief system, and so on. So, morality din, it addresses questions about what actions are morally acceptable, no, or ethically justifiable. So, what actions are considered immoral or unethical. So, that's morality. So, when we say ethics, so as part of the introduction, it seeks to understand and to determine how human actions can be judged as right or wrong. So, ethical judgments can be made based on our own experiences or based upon the nature of our principles of reason. So, there are types of ethics, no. So, number one is the normative ethics. So, when we say normative ethics, the first definition here, this is prescriptive in that it attempts to determine what moral standards should be followed so that human behavior and conduct may be morally right. Another definition, normative ethics is primarily concerned with establishing standards or norms for conduct and commonly associated with investigating how one ought to act. Okay? And another definition for normative ethics is it involves the critical study of major moral percepts, such as what things are right, what things are good, and what things are genuine. Okay? So, that's the first one. So, what's your idea? when we say normative ethics based on the definition. Okay, so another thing that we need to consider sa normative ethics, this is also focuses sa pagpo-provide ng guidelines, no, as I mentioned earlier, regarding the ethical theories, no. So guidelines or the norms for determining what is morally right and wrong, siya concern siya sa pagpe-prescribe ng principles and standards that individuals and societies should follow. When it comes to what? When it comes, of course, with making ethical decisions. So, in essence, normative ethics seeks to answer question. Ito yung mga usual questions sa normative ethics natin. What should we consider morally good or virtuous? What actions are morally obligatory or required? Yan. What actions are morally permissible or acceptable? And meron ding another question, what is actions are morally wrong or impermissible? Okay? So, normative ethics also provide frameworks for evaluating and making moral judgments. So, people may subscribe to one or more approaches or combination of approaches, pero yung normative ethics natin is nagmamatter when it comes to the decision making. And then we have the descriptive ethics. So, definition means it is also known as comparative ethics. So, this is the study of what people believe to be right and wrong and why they believe it. And then, meron din tayong another definition which describes how people act and or what sorts of moral standards they claim to follow. Okay, so I want you to jot down also, may mga key features tayo pag sinabing descriptive ethics. So, ano yung mga features na dapat ninyong tandaan? So, number one is yung tinatawag na observation and analysis. Meron din tayong cultural and societal variability, empirical research, meron tayong descriptive but not prescriptive. Ito yung mga features ng descriptive ethics ha. Meron din tayong ethical inquiry, cultural relativism, psychological and sociological perspective. So sa descriptive, it does not prescribe or endorse any particular moral code or system unlike sa normative ethics kanina. Instead, it seeks to provide comprehensive and objective understanding kung paano yung tao sa society magna-navigate when it comes to moral questions in practice. So according to the researcher, this is the field aim to describe the moral landscape as it exists and allowing deeper understanding of the complexities and nuances of human morality. Okay? Again, meron tayong, kung nakasunod kayo, meron tayong 7 features ng descriptive ethics: observation and analysis, cultural and societal variability, empirical research, descriptive but not prescriptive, ethical inquiry, and cultural relativism and psychological and sociological perspectives. Next theory natin is we have applied ethics. So, applied ethics is the philosophical search within the Western philosophy for right and wrong within controversial scenarios. So, Applied ethics is also the application of normative theories to practical moral problems. Okay. 'Di ba na-mention natin 'to sa first session natin. We already define what is applied ethics all about. So, yung applied ethics natin, of course, nagfo-focus siya sa more of practical application, no, ng mga ethical principles like values, yung mga real world situations, issues, and other dilemmas. So, unlike sa normative ethics, which deals with abstract moral principles and theories, then yung descriptive ethics kanina describes how people behave morally. Pero pagdating sa applied ethics, this is concerned with providing guidance and ethical solutions for a concrete and often complex ethical problems. Ayan. So meron din tayong example areas, no, that includes sa applied ethics natin. So meron tayong ito very familiar sa atin, no? The legal ethics, we have the political ethics, and then we have the environmental ethics, and of course, the business ethics. Ito yung mga samples na pwedeng mag-associate, no, sa ating applied ethics as the aspect, no? Ilan to sa mga aspect ng applied ethics. And then, what else? Ano pa yung pwede nating ma-determine sa applied ethics? So, it talks about the code of conduct, no? Yung practical guidelines nga, and then yung pag-face natin sa mga ethical challenges sa according to our respective fields while upholding moral values and principles. So, yan. Then meron tayong another ethical theories, yung consequentialist. So, sa definition natin, consequentialist theories maintain that the fundamental ethical judgments involve claims about what states of affairs are intrinsically good and intrinsically bad. Then another definition is that the idea is an action being wrong can be analyzed along the lines just mentioned, that is in terms of its not being the action that among those that are open to one produces the best balance of good effects over bad effects. So ano naman yung consequentialist, ayan. Are you familiar with this? So this is another theory of ethics. So I hope nagja-jot down kayo, no? Kasi hindi lahat ng details is nandito sa PowerPoint natin, no? So yung iba, dini-discuss ko sa inyo ngayon. So might as well to have your extra paper and pen. So consequentialism din tong tinatawag eh. So this is the theory that judge the morality of actions solely based on their outcomes or consequences. So in other words, it asserts the rightness, no, or yung wrongness ng isang action depende primarily on the overall goodness or badness of the results of it produces. So itong theory na to, nagpo-focus siya sa principle that actions are morally right if they lead to desirable outcome. And morally wrong daw if they lead to undesirable or harmful outcomes. So may mga features din tayo ng consequentialism. So it includes focus on consequences. Meron din tayong impartiality. Meron din tayong act versus rule consequentialism. Okay? So, critics of consequentialism argue that it may lead to morally questionable conclusions if taken to extremes. For example, some argue that consequentialism might justify actions that violate individual rights or lead the sacrifice of a minority for the benefit of the majority. So other questions is the feasibility of accurately predicting all the consequences of an action in complex real-world situations. Okay? And then we have another theory, which is the non-consequential ethic. So it says here that non-consequential ethical theory denies that the consequences of an action are the only criteria for determining the morality of an action. So in this theory, the rightness or wrongness of an action is based on properties intrinsic to the action, not on its consequences. In other words, the non-consequentialist, ayan, ang hirap i-pronounce, no? Believes right or wrong depends on the intention. Again, it depends on the intention, not on the outcome. So I want you to to review this one so that I can give you a work sample scenarios for every theory. So ready na kayo dapat doon. So we have also the key features no ng ating non-consequentialist ethics. So jot down nyo, meron tayong duty-centered, principle-based ethics, and we have the ethical dilemmas. Okay, duty-centered, principle-based ethics, and ethical dilemmas. So, dito makikita din natin in contrast to consequentialist ethics such as um, utilitarianism, which judge actions primarily by their outcomes, no? Pero dito, it exists with its own principles and duties that guide ethical decision making. So, depende lagi sa intentions, no? Not not on the outcome yung pinagbabasihan natin when we say non-conseq sexualist. Ayan. What else? Okay, I guess that's it. So this is a very short discussion lang, and I want you to comprehend this theories and then get ready with your group activity or individual sit work by tomorrow, just in case wala tayong suspension. Okay? And then pakiaral na din tong class discussion natin. Itong question, can there be a universal set of ethical principles that apply to all situations and cultures? Or do ethical theories vary depending on cultural or historical and individual context? So kindly study this one so that tomorrow dire-diretso tayo sa ating group discussion in Sitwork. So that's all for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time and God bless everyone.